for being here. My name's Rachel Cooper. I'm the Director of Culture as Diplomacy. And what better way to exemplify culture as diplomacy than the LLF? And today is the 5th iteration of Asia Society having the LLF here in New York, and to be able to share it with all of you. And we're delighted to be able to do that. I think the idea of culture as diplomacy, sometimes people say soft diplomacy, but I think it's real diplomacy, because it's about how we connect with people, and it's about what's memorable. I think the creative world really does tell the stories, and those are what so often galvanize us, whether that's in literature or film, in art, in just lived lives that are shared. And I think that's really what this festival is all about. So I'm delighted that you're all here. Asia Society really is dedicated to building bridges. And more than building bridges, I think it's understanding that the idea of a center is one that changes. And in this case, I think the Lahore Literary Festival is truly a center and a leader in terms of understanding the power of the creative, not only the creative Pakistan, but Pakistan as a leader in bringing people together. I've attended the festival many times now and met incredible writers from all over the world. And of course, they come together in Lahore and understand something very different from many of the headlines. And headlines, as we know, I mean, they're real, but they do come and go in a way that some of these stories and some of the art and some of the cinema has a staying power. So I'm really delighted to be able to welcome you all here. And to open, we're really honored to have His Excellency Masood Khan, the Ambassador of Pakistan, here to give some opening remarks. I also want to recognize Consul General Aisha Ali. So please join me in welcoming His Excellency.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Ms. Rachel Cooper, Mr. Razi Ahmed, Qazi Shaukat Fareed, and other distinguished guests whom I can't see from here because it's all dark there. But it's a pleasure to be here. And I first want to start my remarks by congratulating Lahore Literary Festival and Asia Society for holding this event. This is like a breath of fresh air. And we must pay tribute to the founders of Lahore Literary Festival. Lahore was a seat of culture, has been a seat of culture in South Asia for centuries. And many of the people who've gone to Lahore, who lived in Lahore, who were born and raised in Lahore, they know that Lahore, in addition to many other identities, one identity it had was literary and cultural. And before the partition of India and Pakistan, in South Asia, the whole of South Asia, Lahore contributed to literature, South Asian literature, and we produced some of the best writers of the era in Lahore. And then also they contributed to filmmaking. Both the top directors, musicians, script writers, poets, they all belonged to Lahore. And they had stature, they had influence. They influenced not only their own generations, but the future generations. And when I was in Pakistan, I can tell you that I saw this growth in festival culture. There were Karachi Literary Festival, Lahore Literary Festival. You would have one in Islamabad. You'd be surprised to know that there was one in Muzaffarabad also, the capital of Azad Kashmir. And what is a festival? I mean, of course, you celebrate, the people are writing books, you try to understand them. You also correlate that literature with your wider cultural ambiance. And this is happening in Pakistan. because people tend to look at Pakistan through the prism of politics and strategic paradigms. But beyond these two sets of imageries, you have a strong literary tradition in Pakistan, and I think that's being projected by Lahore Literary Festival here in New York. Asia Society has connected many cultures with North America, and particularly with the United States. So you made this seminal contribution to bringing people together. Your efforts and the efforts of these festivals are people-driven. And they are not influenced by governments, directly or indirectly. They're people-driven. Let me reminisce about literary tradition in Pakistan. You know, it was very robust. We inherited it from South Asia. There was a continuation of two literary streams in Pakistan. One used to be called progressives, Tarakki Pasand Musannifin, and the other was Arbab-e-Zawq, or Masters of Literary Taste. So you had competition amongst them. One group was conformist. The other used to say that you have to work for the rights of the indigent, of the marginalized, of the socially excluded classes, so that you create an equal and equitable society, an egalitarian society. That was the vision of most of the writers. And most of the Pakistani writers did not go down the path of writing or producing abstract pieces. They wanted their literature, whether it was fiction or poetry or other forms or genres, that they influenced decision-making and they reshaped societal patterns. So that was the rich tradition. Somehow it faded out. It was whittled down with the passage of time. But what has happened, these festivals have reignited that interest in literature. And we're grateful to the movers and shakers behind these festivals. In this case, it's the Lahore Literary Festival. Now, all literature, I mean, I'm humbled in your presence because many of you who are present here and who would be speaking in the succeeding sessions, I know that you have written all your life and you've enriched literature in Pakistan and all around the world. I mean, some of the participants are internationally recognized writers, and you've made us proud. So what I want to say is that all literature is about past or present or future. And the bulk of literature is about the present. It is written in the present tense. It is about your contemporary problems. And from those vignettes that you capture, you extrapolate something for the future. And then your traditions and your legacies, and they are inherited by succeeding generations. The reason I'm emphasizing this point is that you don't write only for the past or the future, but you help society address its contemporary problems. And therefore, literature has to relate to the real pressing problems of the people. I think that the literary figures, writers, they can't be bystanders. They have to influence contemporary politics and history. Now let me go to a term which was used by Ms. Rachel Cooper, soft diplomacy. Let's try to establish, not artificially and not forcibly, our relationship between literature and diplomacy. And she used the most appropriate term. She said soft diplomacy. But what do the writers do? In fact, there was one writer who said that when you're writing, you're in fact expanding the horizons of your own understanding. You're learning. You're a learner, as a matter of fact. I mean, when you start writing on a subject, be it mathematics, be it physics, but be it fiction, you expand and enhance the horizon of your understanding. In doing so, you act as a catalyst. You act as a catalyst in helping societies resolve their problems. So I think that the primary purpose or object of literary pieces is to synthesize the problems and possible solutions in a society. But beyond that, there's something which is called correlative, or as T.S. Eliot would have said, objective correlative, that would connect the consciousness of a person in the United States, let's say in Midwest, with somebody who's sitting in Lahore. This would be objective correlative. And you'd be able to relate to that human condition, that human privation, that human redemption, let's put it that way. So I think that literature is a good metaphor for bringing nations closer to each other. And I would suggest at some point, I mean, you're here in the city of New York, and I've spent years here, inside and outside the building of the United Nations. And I say that take these literary festivals inside the United Nations, because when you are inside the United Nations, and Mr. Qazi Fareed has devoted his years contributing to the work of the United Nations, when you're inside those committee halls or the plenary halls, usually we tend to be very bureaucratic, very mechanical. But if literary festivals are held there, you'd be closer to the people, because the Charter of the United Nations starts with "we the peoples." So you would be closer to the people. But what I'm saying is that the literary festival, this literary festival, gives a fresh stimulus to people relations between Pakistan and the United States. Now, in the recent past, I continued that I was talking to one of my friends here, that we have been focusing on such subjects as cultural relations or public diplomacy, or we were talking about climate change, because some of these are existential challenges that we are facing, or let's say energy, renewables, or some of these areas where the United States and Pakistan could work together. And I suddenly realized the literary dimension was missing. And this is a very, very powerful current which we must capture and integrate into our diplomatic activities. Not to patronize it, not to steer it, but to benefit from its rich ambience. This was my last point, practically. I feel very happy being here, and I wish you success with your discussions and presentations and deliberations. And Mr. Razi Ahmed, he has joined us from Lahore. I can see him on the screen. Thank you so much. You are here in letter and spirit. So it is a pleasure to see you, and my congratulations to you, Ms. Rachel Cooper, and all the audience who are present here. My last point, this is my epilogue. My last point is that Pakistan is a great country. Pakistan has a great future. I always cite this cohort that 64% of Pakistani population is below the age of 30, which should be about 130 million to 140 million people. And people are graduating from the universities. They have been integrated into the international mainstream. We have a great future as a nation. And I think that this is our strong belief, that our strong ties and partnership with the United States is going to turn into a common good, not only for the people of Pakistan or the people of the United States, but for the entire international community. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
His Excellency Mr. Masood Khan, our esteemed speakers, moderators, volunteers, donors, and partners, and our friends at the Asia Society, good morning and a warm welcome to the 5th iteration of the Lahore Literary Festival in New York. This is a partnership that was formed in 2016. We've had 4 previous iterations in New York at the Asia Society. Each one of them have been a success and a memorable one. We have managed to bring forth people from Pakistan, from the Pakistani community here in the States, to complement those voices and perspectives with those of people within America and the wider world. All our sessions are uploaded through the Asia Society website. They're available for research and for widespread dissemination because they're valuable tools of knowledge. Today's programming reflects the strengths and tenacity of purpose that each one of the speakers brings forth. We are proud as a nation state that has encouraged, motivated, and nurtured so much talent over the years despite difficulties. Pakistan is at the forefront of new waves of creative imagination and output in cinema, visual language, literature, and other expressions. We feel that this burgeoning of cultural output really will lead Pakistan through some of the difficult challenges that it is transitioning through. Over the next few decades, Pakistan will be at the forefront as a youthful country that will go from strength to strength because of this incredible sense of positioning and purposing that different people from across these creative expressions bring forth for us to solidify our identity as that of South Asians, as that of a nation state that is a repository to the rich Indus civilization and the Gandharan heritage. In the next few years, I also see Pakistan becoming a place of publishing. So many new imprints have come about. The kind of books that were being imported now are being substituted with local publishers. That's a welcome sign. The LLF over the whole decade has produced, nurtured, and inspired new writers. They're finding an agency. I think there are many incredible attributes to look at and admire and celebrate, and that's what we're doing today. Hopefully, all of you will enjoy today's programming, even though it's a capsule program, but we certainly will bring forth a lot more in the coming years because we have a lot more to give and a lot more to celebrate. Within the Pakistani community here in the States, there are so many incredible pockets of creativity, of inspiring us so that this kind of bridge building culturally between Asia Society and LLF continues to be done so at an accelerated pace. Lahore, more recently in 2019, earned the title of a City of Literature by UNESCO. This is a great milestone. We feel that it should have been earned a lot more earlier. Certainly Lahore has been, through these centuries, been at the forefront of firing the imagination of writers, poets, activists. Some of the leading movements emanate from Lahore. Lahore, New York, and London, the 3 sites where the LLF is annually held, form a rich repository for us, where we're bringing about these organic connections between writers of different hues and shades, so that a sense of solidarity is further forged for our Pakistani writers. I once again thank each one of you, our trustees of the Lahore Literary Festival, Iqbal Zaid Ahmed, Nusrat Jameel, Ahmed Rashid, and the many unsung heroes who annually, unstintingly support us. LLF wouldn't be possible without their incredible generosity. I want to thank Rachel Cooper for holding our hand, for having faith in us, and for being a great friend of Pakistan, to allow this space to be open to an expansive range of ideas from Pakistan and South Asia. I once again thank each one of you, and I wish you the very best for the rest of the day. Thank you very much.